Is an entrepreneur by nature. He owns a financial firm, Royce Joseph Capital LLC, which he founded in 2008, which packages and places loans and diversified client base. But he's here today because he's an author. First book he wrote, apropos to our meeting, was called I Pledge Allegiance. Is it? I Pledge Allegiance, yeah. Which is a novelization of the plight of the homeless veterans in the United States of America. That was the first book he wrote. And today he's going to talk about his third book, which I just purchased, and I encourage everybody else to, because I heard his presentation before, which is why I can safely leave today. And I said, when is your book going to come out so I can buy it? And it's called First and 10 Under 20. Is it football, business, or life? And I'll leave it at that, and he'll explain what that means. Thank you very much. Todd?
Thank you very much. I appreciate being here. You know, I've spoken to several Rotaries over the last month. The book only came out on April 21st, and the Teaneck Rotary actually invited me in before the book came out, and that's where I met Paul. I have to tell you, I was a Rotarian back in the 80s, and then I moved out of town and obviously went through some marital changes and career changes, never got back. But I have to tell you, for all the chapters I've been to, I'm very impressed. I also enjoy listening to people about the happy dollars, because there's a lot of good stuff that goes on in our lives that we get wrapped up in the minutia and the aggravation of family, and and it's not to say that families are aggravating, but there's a lot of responsibility and work. It's nice that people get to share what really goes on, the medals, the bar mitzvah. It's nice, because those are all important things, and I believe that long after we're gone, the medals, your daughter will remember the medals, the bar mitzvah will be remembered, the job, the business owners, the started businesses will be remembered. So it's really quite nice for me to come visit. A little bit about
each town has Rotary
I'm well
Club.
aware. I know. I've been well informed of the depth of the Rotarians. Just a quick aside before I get started. When I was a Rotarian, I was on vacation to St. Martin.
Oh.
And I was married to my first wife. And I was going to go on there for 2 weeks. I was going to go do a makeup at the St. Martin Rotary Club. I thought that'd be a good idea, Mm-hmm. She didn't like the idea. So I didn't make those 2 weeks out. So anyway, as Paul said, I do own a firm called Royce Joseph Capital, and we package and place debt and equity around the country for corporate world. Just people always ask, where do you get the name Royce Joseph Capital? Royce was my grandfather, Joseph was my father, and I spent about 16 years in business with my father back in the 80s and 90s until he suddenly passed away. So when I opened a new business, I named it after both my grandfather and my father. People then go on to ask, how did you ever get started writing? And it's kind of a long, convoluted story that I'm going to cliff though. I studied karate for about 17 years, 13 pretty consistent, 4 on and off, and was an avid runner from the age of 21 until about 10 years ago when I went to the doctor and I had knee problems. And he said, these are your options. You either stop karate and stop running, or you're going to shatter your femur. You decide. So after 30 years of being this active, or 25, 30 years of being this active, I had to shut down. And I started going to the gym, but karate was a lot longer time frame. So I did, and then I ended up having to have knee surgery. And because of the problems with my knee, my surgeries and rehab were a total of 18 months long, because I had problems with my bones. And so they had to fix that before they could put all the little ligaments back together, because I had none at that point. So I'm sitting around going, what am I going to do? And I decided to write a book. I just come off what I consider my 7-year jail sentence. I'd spent 7 years in corporate America. Other than that, I've worked for myself. And corporate America and I did not really get along. It was not my favorite position. So I decided I was going to open my own business and write a book. What else do you do when you're sitting around in a cast? So I opened my business, and I started writing a book on my living room sofa in a cast in 2008. And that's how it started. So I started writing a book, kind of a thriller I'm a big Nelson DeMille fan. I was going to write a thriller on corporate America. So I'm about 160 pages into this book. And one day I'm having dinner with my wife, and I've got a great wife, and mentioned this story once, and people said, boy, your wife must be difficult. No, it was kind of tongue-in-cheek when I tell this story. So we're having dinner with my wife. I was having dinner with my wife, and she goes, Todd, you know your first book, any author never sells. What are you going to write for your second book? So I have no clue. I'm not done with the first one. 48 hours later, in between those 48 hours, I found an article online about the plight of the homeless veterans. At that point in time, there were 150,000 veterans homeless in this country. 150,000. And at the same time, in the same time frame, the government was arguing, remember the bridge to nowhere in Alaska? It was all within the same couple weeks. I said, so I started doing my research and came up with the outline for I Pledge Allegiance. I Pledge Allegiance is a novelization of the plight of the homeless veterans. It's basically a fictitious veteran who wheels up to an inaugural day parade in Washington where everybody is paying homage to our leaders while he reminisces about his life. And I always bring this book up because it has led to me being asked to serve on the board of directors of an organization called Community Hope. Community Hope is a not-for-profit headquarters in Parsippany, New Jersey, where we house, on any given night, 150 former homeless veterans in facilities in Philadelphia, Lyons, New Jersey, and in Garfield, and another 150 people in another division that suffer from some form of mental illness that cannot take care of themselves. So on any given night, Community Hope is housing 300 people, many of which are permanent housing. So it's just not housing where they come and go, that they have a home for life. We also opened a division called SSVF, Support Services for Veterans Families, and we have effectively helped, in 1 year, 1,300 families from becoming hungry or homeless through Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and we haven't reached New York yet. So that's what I've done. So as much as I Pledge Allegiance was not on the bestseller list, I think we've done some great work with that, and it's a real privilege to sit on their board of directors. Navigating the Lending Maze. This is the book that you want to read if you want to stay up at night. Oh, sure. And I have copies of all the books. This is the book called Navigating the Lending Maze. Is the book you want to read if you want to go to sleep. Okay? It is not an exciting book. It is a guide for what small business owners need to get a loan. Not only what they need, but why they need it. And I wrote this because I was invited to give a keynote address for, I believe it was 970 AM radio, the station Joe Piscopo's on. They run a small business symposium, and I was one of the 3 keynote speakers on the first one they ran in West Orange now about 3 or 4 years ago. So I wrote this to give a basis of the discussion. But if so, okay, so you want to go to sleep? There you go. You got a long day ahead of you, so don't read too much. No, I got to tell you, it's an informative book. All kidding aside, it was dry to write. Which leads us to first and 10 on the 20 is a football business of life. A great attitude coupled with a well thought out and executed plan is the path of success. A great attitude without a plan is only a party. First and 10 on the 20 was written to fuel one's attitude and provide an outline for people to create a plan and continually execute that plan, modeling 24 aspects of the game of football. And how did it all come about? It came about one day because I was really frustrated starting my business. Now, I don't know why. Everyone was fleeing from the financial business in 2008. I decided it was a great time to open one. So I'm watching a football game and kind of starry-eyed. My family calls it zoning. And I'm watching the game, and I see this. It's a first down. And I'm looking and I'm thinking, I may not have scored a touchdown last week, but I got a couple first downs. How many people are in sales or in client acquisition of some point? Right? Now, do they always do what you want them to do? No. Do they always respond in the timely fashion that you want them to respond in? No. Me either, so we're together on this. But they're all tracking well. So I started looking at other aspects of the game because I deal with a lot of businesses. And there are 24 distinct aspects of the game that can apply to everyday life, everyday business, large or small, and any of the divisions in there, plus how to create a better model for sales, because it allows you to understand how they're behaving and react, and not necessarily react to them, but be able to have a plan to move them further to what they need. Because I don't think anyone in sales, and this isn't a sales book, but I don't think that sales wants to sell something to someone they don't need. You know, but I think that's fair. Someone needs a Mack truck, you don't want to sell them a Corvette. And that's how the book came together. And it all starts with the attitude. And why are the two important? An attitude and a plan. I looked at it from this perspective, and we're going to digress a little bit from the football analogy. The attitude is a 50-gallon drum of gasoline sitting in your backyard. Relatively useless by itself. The plan is the Jaguar sitting in your driveway, or any other car that you may want to drive. Useless without the gasoline. Completely useless. Until you put the gasoline in the car and it takes off. And that is why both are important. What do I cover in the book? Obviously it starts with the attitude. Then the question is, what is a great attitude? What really is a great attitude? Everybody here is friendly. Everyone here has been very gracious to me, from the person who opened the door when I walked in. That's a great attitude, but it goes beyond that. Somewhere between now and 5 o'clock in our careers, big or small, something may go wrong. I think that's pretty fair. Appointment get canceled, something. What do you do and how do you handle that? We talk about the fumble, the broken play, the kickoff. The kickoff, do you realize in football, the kickoff is a recognition of your competition? Think about it for a minute. How many people would come to a football game if only one team showed up? And you stood around and did nothing. The chapter on the kickoff talks about explaining, understanding, and respecting your competition. There's a lot to be learned from your competition. A tremendous amount to be learned from your competition. And I gave this discussion at a college at my book signing about a month ago. And, you know, college seniors, they're really bright. That's all I've got to say. And I spoke to them and said, you know, we have had competition, and you have had competition, and we all have competition from the minute we are born. Think about it. We compete for our parents' attention. We compete for school programs, sports programs, band programs. My family's been very musically inclined. All these types of programs we compete for. And then you get in the dating years, which I really you have a lot of competition in the dating years. Okay, and this is how I explained it to the students sitting there. It's naive to think the person you're dating or want to date that someone else doesn't want to date the same, and vice versa. So there's a lot to be learned from your competition. Ford learns a lot from GM. GM learns a lot from Nissan, and goes around and around and around. Does the person who owns a grocery store have to play at a high enough level if they're the only grocery store in town? The reason the auto market has subsided since the 1970s and 80s is because I don't believe they took their competition seriously. They were the big three, and all they had to do was worry about themselves. The question I ask in the book, for us who are gray hair, is would the technological movement in telecommunications moved even faster if AT&T had competition before the breakup and still be on the top of their game? Obviously that's competition. Then we talk about the playbook. You need to know where you're going. Not only do you need to know you're going on a macro level, you need to know where you're going on the micro level. I discussed preparation. Preparation, what is preparation? Do you know the football huddle's nothing more than a 40-second business meeting? That's all it is. 11 grown men with high egos. Okay, I don't think you can play football in the NFL without a high ego, or maybe even high school without a high ego. For the simple reason, let's talk about the NFL. At the professional level, I think it's fair to say that the 11 men on the defense all weigh 250 pounds. That's a ton and a half of people coming after one guy with the ball. So I think you need a high ego to play the game. Okay, I mean, I don't know, we all drive cars. I mean, that's like a car and a half, well, a car hitting you or coming after you. I mean, but they have the ability to get 11 grown men with high egos in 40 seconds to know exactly what they're doing next. And how did they accomplish that? Because of the 3 stages of preparation. And what are they? Personal preparation. I'm a big proponent of self-responsibility and continually educating yourself. Organizational preparation. Those who are in the corporate hierarchy or have the responsibility to put a program together or a business together, they're the ones that have to have the ability to put that together. And in football, it is the general manager and the head coach. And in everyone else's business, there's some hierarchy. That's a skill set amongst itself. Then there's execution preparation. What do you do the first day you open the store? No one really cares what you did up to this point. Your clients aren't concerned about the sweat you did waiting for the loan if you got one or the education. When you open that door, you are now executing your business, just like walking into a football stadium. What have you done? The preparation going into that day is big. What color, even simple things, the color you're going to paint the room, particularly in your, I know what you do, I'm trying to explain it correctly, wellness, your wellness. You know, you don't want it black, okay? Do you want it pink? You go to these, but all of that. And then when you open the door, you're ready to go because you can't stop. If you're opening your door for the first day, you can't stop at 9 o'clock in the morning on the first day going to your partner. You know, we got the color wrong. It's too late. So that's why those 3 stages of preparation are important. And I believe people need to continue their education right straight through their adult life for this reason. You're only the age of 1 once, you're only the age of 2 once, and so on and so forth. You're only the age of 20 once. And making a decision at the age of 20, you really only have the experience of making a decision between the ages of 1 and 19. And if you stop your education in any form, 21, 2, or 3, based upon whatever sequence you've used for your education, now you're 30. And if you haven't educated yourself in some manner, whether it be personal development, how to communicate with people, or whether it be in your profession, because professions are changing at a more rapid pace today, you were making a decision at the age of 30 as if you were 23, making a decision at the age of 16, because you haven't kept up with the time. That's why preparation is imperative. I'm just looking for a time check, please. I know it's being recorded. Does anyone know? Excuse me?
8:21.
Couple more minutes, am I good? Oh, 5 minutes, okay, thank you. So I go through the stages of preparation. That's why preparation is very important. I also go through, once we go through, is to creating fans, not just clients. You know, who remembers Bobby Darin? Bobby Darin, okay? All right, now I know everybody's age. Bobby Darin, and I forget who he was married to, but he died, I believe, before he was 40. He's the gentleman, for those who do not know, made the song Rack and Knife famous. Okay, so that's Bobby Darin.
Kevin Spacey played him recently.
Yes, great movie.
Which is the only reason I know.
Oh, he did a great movie. He had a TV show, too, back in the late 60s, early 70s.
Is he from locally, too? Is he?
That I don't know. And I really never met him.
Oh, okay.
Okay, really sorry. he has a great quote, because you know, we all have clients. The question is, do you have a fan? Because in football, every single person in that stadium is a client of that football team. They've had the ability to master them as being fans, buying their logos. And throughout the book, I have quotes from people, from Vincent Van Gogh to Taylor Swift. And Bobby Darin's is one of my favorites. Why should I sing under an umbrella?
Oh.
If my fans are willing to listen to me in the rain, I can sing in the rain. And I think that has a lot to do with the dedication of a business to its client, to its customer. Are you willing to sing in the rain if your clients are willing to go to the nth degree to hire you? I ask that question. I also talk about the broken play. You know, I'm just gonna pick on you for a minute just because you're opening a business, okay? And I don't take it as being, hopefully all your plans go absolutely perfect from day one until you decide to close it. Whether it be retirement, sell, whatever it is. Something may go wrong, okay? I call it the broken play in this book. And in the broken play, this is the difference, I believe, between training and education. A running back is given the ball, and this is where the hole is supposed to be, right there. If he's trained, he's going here and he's stopping. If he's educated, and he knows his assignment, and knows how to play the game well, and you know your business well, you know your business well, you know your business well, I know my business well. You don't stop there. You twist and turn to achieve your 2 and 3 yards, which leads us to follow up and follow through with extra effort. How many people have really watched football? Okay. And there's that running back that's carrying 3 defensive players. He needs to get 2 yards. He needs to get 2 yards, and he carries them to get those 2 yards. Are you providing that level of dedication to your clients, to your customers? And it all ends with the red zone. Out of all the 24 chapters, I end with the red zone. The red zone is the last 20 yards that the team has to get through to get to a touchdown. You either blow through it with a big long run or a big long pass, or you grind through it. Doesn't matter how you get through it, you have to get through it. And if you don't get through it, all that work you've done from the previous 20 yards to this, great for the stat pages, great for photos, but it really doesn't aid in finishing what you start. Everyone needs to finish what they start, circumventing the fumbles, circumventing the broken play, circumventing all the other obstacles. And if you have the right attitude, you will succeed, because it's not only about the attitude of having a burn to succeed, it's about having the attitude of overcoming the obstacles. It's easy to overcome things when life's going well. The attitude will also teach you how to appreciate and value the emotion of frustration and make decisions that will benefit you, your organization, and your company, even when you're frustrated. Because a great attitude that understands how to master frustration will lead you in a direction that you may not have seen before. Todd Smith, the book is First and 10 under 20, is a football business for life. It's a Cliff Note version of 100, God knows how many pages.